And he just jumped off the table. And the rest was history.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the wildest things ever to happen in sports. We won't be including moments that involve serious injuries or deaths.
The Bee Gees actually blamed me for killing disco, which I felt was a victory for me.
Number 20, the World Series earthquake. As the Oakland A's and San Francisco Giants were warming up for Game 3 of the 1989 World Series at Candlestick Park, a massive earthquake struck the Bay Area.
We were on the air for 4 minutes, and at 5:04, we were off the air for a while.
The TV broadcast had been replaying clips from Game 2 when the feed was lost and the voices of announcers Tim McCarver and Al Michaels cut out. Fortunately, there were no injuries inside the stadium, and both players and fans were able to evacuate safely. The disaster did cause numerous casualties, but it could have been much worse. Thousands of people who usually would have been out and about that Tuesday afternoon were instead home to watch the game.
There was a lot going on in the Bay Area at that time.
It was ultimately played 10 days later, the longest ever delay of a World Series game. Number 19, scandal at the 1990 World Cup. During a qualifying round at Maracanã Stadium, Brazil was leading Chile 1-0 after 67 minutes of play. Suddenly, a flash of light zipped through the stadium and landed on the field. Chilean goalkeeper Roberto Rojas fell to the ground, blood streaming down his head. Witnesses said a flare had been shot from the stands and only one photographer and the entire stadium had caught the moment. The photos were rushed into development and they proved that the flare hadn't actually hit Rojas. He later admitted that the entire thing had been staged to get Brazil eliminated and that he had cut his own head with a razor hidden in his glove. He got a lifetime ban and Chile was barred from the 1994 tournament. Number 18, the Heidi Bowl. This 1968 game between the Raiders and the Jets saw Oakland score 2 touchdowns in the final minute to pull off a crazy comeback.
The Oakland Raiders reversed their fate with a victory that was unforeseen and unseen by the TV audience.
We knew that we won the game. The people in the stadium knew we won the game. But the people who were watching on television across the country thought that the Jets won and we lost.
Unfortunately, the fans missed it. NBC's made-for-TV movie Heidi was scheduled to start at 7 p.m. As the game ran long, NBC execs soon realized it wouldn't end in time. At around 6:45, they decided to delay Heidi and let the game continue. At the same time, frantic football fans began calling in, demanding that the network not cut away, and jamming the switchboards. The higher-ups couldn't get through to the technicians who switched over to Heidi on schedule.
Let's go, Aunt Dottie.
Be quiet, Heidi.
Please don't make me stay here, Aunt Dottie.
Fans missed one of the most exciting minutes in football history, and NBC had to eat a lot of crow. Number 17, Tiger Woods' comeback at the Masters. If you could only name one professional golfer, it's probably Tiger Woods, who shot to the top of the game starting in the late 90s.
Tiger Woods picked up 8 wins in 99, 9 in 2000.
Number 1 player in the world by a wide margin.
He soon became the only player ever to win the Open Championship, US Open, PGA Championship, and the Masters in one season, a move now known as the Tiger Slam. However, starting in late 2009, Woods was involved in several major scandals, including marital infidelity and a DUI arrest. He stepped away from the game, and long-standing injuries led to him having 4 back surgeries between 2014 and 2017. After 11 years without a major tournament win, Woods made an incredible comeback by winning the 2019 Masters by 1 stroke.
Many doubted we'd ever see it. But here it is. The return to glory.
The moment will go down in golf history. Number 16, the Immaculate Reception. The 1972 NFL playoffs produced one of the most well-known plays in the sport. During the divisional round, the Raiders faced the Steelers in Pittsburgh just 2 days before Christmas.
Situation like this, of course, is all to the advantage of the defense. Bradshaw must put it in the air.
The Steelers were down 7-6 with only 22 seconds to go when quarterback Terry Bradshaw launched a pass downfield to running back John Fuqua. However, Fuqua missed the catch and the ball bounced off a defender's helmet. Steelers fullback Franco Harris reacted with lightning speed to snag the ball just inches above the ground and run it in for a touchdown. Pittsburgh fan Michael Ord coined the term Immaculate Reception as he celebrated at a bar that evening, and the name stuck.
I climbed up on a table, and like you do at an old fire hall wedding, you know, I got a spoon and I banged on a glass. I would like to suggest that from this day on, we refer to this day as the Feast of the Immaculate Reception, and the place went bonkers.
Number 15, Mets fan parachutes into the World Series. In 1986, the Red Sox were up 3-2 against the Mets when they faced each other for Game 6. After just 1 out, players and fans alike were shocked when a man dropped out of the sky.
An unexpected guest at Shea Stadium.
carrying a huge banner that read "Go Mets." He made an impressively smooth landing and was immediately escorted out by security. The intruder was musician and actor Mike Sergio, who at the time was best known for a small part in the slasher flick The House on Sorority Row. Now, of course, he's best known for this stunt. Sergio has had plenty of copycats, most notably when James Miller, aka Fan Man, parachuted into the 1993 heavyweight match between Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield.
And there is chaos here at Caesars Palace in the outdoor stadium.
Number 14, Zinedine Zidane's infamous headbutt. This French footballer is considered to be one of the best to ever play the game, but his time on the pitch had an ugly ending.
It wasn't supposed to end this way. One of the game's greatest ever players playing his last game as a professional in the biggest fixture on the planet.
During the 2006 World Cup final against Italy, as the players were walking across the field, Zidane suddenly headbutted Italian player Marco Materazzi. Zidane was issued a red card and ousted from the game, becoming only the second player ever to be expelled from 2 different World Cup tournaments. He had already announced his retirement prior to the match, meaning the incident marked the end of his time as a player. Materazzi later admitted that he'd made a nasty comment about Zidane's sister, which provoked Zidane to attack him. Italy would go on to win in a penalty shootout.
Perhaps the most iconic image of the 2006 World Cup isn't of the winning captain Fabio Cannavaro lifting the trophy, but of Zidane's lonely walk back past the trophy as he leaves the pitch.
Number 13, the helmet catch. We don't know which part of this play was more impressive, Eli Manning escaping a sack by 3 Patriots or David Tyree's catch.
Eli Manning stays on his feet, airs it out down the field. It is caught by Tyree. Inside the 25 and a timeout taken.
When Super Bowl 42 rolled around, the Patriots were about to become the first team to have a perfect season in over 30 years. With just over 1 minute to go, the Pats were up 14-10 and the Giants had the ball at their own 43-yard line. Manning took the snap and the play immediately broke down as multiple defenders got their hands on him. Somehow he broke free and launched a beautiful 32-yard pass. Tyree secured it against his helmet in one of the greatest plays in Super Bowl history.
David Tyree's catch set up Plexico Burress' game-winning touchdown as the underdog Giants upset the previously perfect Patriots.
Number 12, Simone Biles' triple-double. She's one of the most decorated athletes in the world, and she just keeps raising the bar, no pun intended. At the 2019 U.S. Gymnastics Championships, she performed 2 historic moves.
Money! Just keep making history, Simone Biles.
First, she nailed a double-twisting double dismount off the balance beam, a move never before seen in competition. Then came the crown jewel of her performance, a double back somersault with 3 twists. She became the first woman and the first American to complete the skill successfully, joining a small handful of men from around the world. Biles now has 5 gymnastic skills named after her, not to mention the official title of GOAT.
Simone's got enough gold medals at home. Someone give this girl a crown.
Number 11. 1972 Olympic basketball final. The final 3 seconds of this game would go down in infamy. The Soviets were down against the US 50-49.
For a few seconds, he was the most glorious Olympic basketball athlete in American history and would have lived on as that, if not for the atrocities committed on that court.
They inbounded the ball as their coach stormed over to the scorer's table, insisting he'd called a timeout that was never recognized. The officials blew the whistle with 1 second left and instructed the clock operator to reset to 3 seconds. This time, the Soviets inbounded, missed a shot, and the game appeared to be over. However, the clock operator hadn't reset the clock correctly, so the last 3 seconds were replayed again, the 3rd time the USSR made the shot, giving them the gold in an incredibly controversial victory.
Do they really win? Is the game over? And then it settles in. The Russians win, the game's over, the Americans are screaming.
There were some ticked off guys, I can tell you that. There were some pissed off basketball players.
The US players never accepted their silver medals. Number 10, the Pine Tar Incident. No one would remember this 1983 game if not for this strange incident. It was the top of the 9th and the Kansas City Royals were down 4-3 against the Yankees.
That's gone.
Royals player George Brett stepped up to the plate and hit a 2-run homer to give his team the lead. However, the Yankees manager pointed out to the umpires that Brett's bat had more pine tar than the rules allowed. The officials sided with the Yankees and called Brett out. He was not happy.
Brett is out. And he's steaming mad. He is out and having to be forcibly restrained.
The Royals later protested the decision, and American League President Lee McPhail overturned the out and ordered the rest of the game be replayed. It was resumed 25 days later, and the Royals won 5-4. Number 9, Battle of the Sexes. Female athletes have been fighting for respect and recognition, not to mention equal pay, as long as sports have existed.
It captured the imagination of the public like no other tennis match of the modern era.
Retired tennis star Bobby Riggs derided women players and bragged that he could beat any of them, even at age 55. He was wrong. When he faced off against Billie Jean King, who was then the top-ranked female player in the world, she beat him easily. The match garnered huge publicity, with 50 million Americans tuning in to the primetime broadcast. King felt it was her duty to beat Riggs, fearing that women's sports would be set back decades if she lost. Fortunately, she didn't.
It clearly transcended tennis and transcended sports.
It got people thinking about what women deserved, and that was the start of the evolution.
Number 8. Serena Williams wins the Australian Open while pregnant. Women's tennis has come a long way since the battle of the sexes, thanks in part to athletes like Venus and Serena Williams.
A moment in history, it is Venus and Serena in a Grand Slam final, maybe for the final time tonight.
In 2017, Serena beat her sister in the Australian Open, setting all kinds of records. The win marked her 7th Australian Open trophy, the most of any player, and her 23rd Grand Slam singles title, which put her ahead of Steffi Graf for the record.
And like Michael Jordan, she's in rare air.
The match was also the first time both players in a Grand Slam final were at least 35 years old. On top of all that, Serena later revealed that she had been 2 months pregnant when she competed. Now that is some incredible athleticism. Number 7. Punchup and Piestiani. Hockey can produce some pretty entertaining fights, but this one was a bridge too far. At the 1987 World Junior Ice Hockey Championships in Piestiani, Czechoslovakia, Canada faced off against the USSR.
Canada is assured of a medal. The color will be determined by the outcome of this game.
The two nations were already bitter rivals, and the tension was palpable on the ice. With 6 minutes left in the second period, a Russian player collided with a Canadian, leading to a fight. Meanwhile, a second fight broke out between two different players. Before the officials could react, the benches had been cleared and there was an all-out brawl going on the ice. After 20 minutes, the officials shut off the lights, desperately hoping it would settle things down.
They're trying to turn the lights off, and they've turned them off. They have shut the lights down in order to control the play.
Both teams were subsequently kicked out of the tournament. Number 6, the Hand of God. This was simultaneously an incredible score and an incredible screw-up by the referees. During the second half of the 1986 World Cup match between Argentina and England, Diego Maradona and goalie Peter Shilton both went up for the ball at the same time.
He gave Argentina the lead in the 51st minute by scoring with what he famously called the Hand of God.
Maradona appeared to be trying for a header, but he actually punched the ball in with his fist. That's illegal, but the refs didn't see it and the goal counted. Just 4 minutes later, Maradona scored a brilliant and legal point dubbed the goal of the century, which was made famous partly thanks to the fantastic commentary from Uruguayan analyst Victor Hugo Morales. Number 5, the bite fight. Today, Mike Tyson is known for his larger-than-life personality and his appearances in the Hangover franchise. But in 1997, he caught the world's attention for something a little less amusing.
I expect a tough, clean fight. Protect yourself at all times. Any question from the challenger, she's second. Any question from the champion, she's second. Let's get it on!
During the third round of the WBA World Heavyweight Championship fight against Evander Holyfield, Tyson bit a chunk out of Holyfield's right ear. The fight was stopped as Holyfield was attended to, and referee Mills Lane prepared to disqualify Tyson. However, Holyfield said he wanted to continue, so Lane penalized Tyson 2 points and let the opponents fight on. Just moments later, Tyson bit Holyfield again on the other ear. At that point, Lane did disqualify Tyson, who didn't take it well.
There seems to be some kind of altercation going on.
It looks like he could have been disqualified. The fight could be over.
Tyson has since apologized. Number 4, Disco Demolition Night. By the end of the 1970s, the tide had turned against disco music. In 1979, the Chicago White Sox, who weren't having a great season, advertised Disco Demolition Night, hoping to draw in rock fans and sell tickets.
Between games, 24-year-old Steve Dahl, a popular disc jockey for Chicago rock station Loop 98, would take the field at the head of his so-called anti-disco army to blow up thousands of disco records.
Anyone who brought a disco record to destroy would get into the doubleheader for just 98 cents, and shock jock Steve Dahl would blow up the discs between the two games. Things did not go as planned. More than 50,000 people flooded into the stadium, filling it beyond capacity. The explosion was way bigger than anticipated and sparked a riot. Rowdy attendees rushed the field, flinging records like deadly frisbees. The field was so badly damaged that the Sox had to forfeit the second game.
The White Sox were forced to forfeit. There were 39 reported arrests, but only minor injuries, among what some say was the largest ever White Sox crowd.
Number 3, the play. The Stanford Cardinals and the California Golden Bears have always been major rivals, but this 1982 edition of the big game took it to another level. With just 4 seconds to go, Stanford kicked a field goal to go up 20-19, and the game appeared to be over.
The Bears in a seemingly impossible situation. They have only one timeout left. They pretty well have to run it back to save the game.
But the Golden Bears weren't ready to give up, and the final play of the game was wild. The Bears recovered the kickoff and lateraled the ball 5 times, 2 of which might have been illegal. By that point, the Stanford band had already rushed the field, and runner Kevin Moen had to fight his way through them to reach the end zone.
Oh, the band is out on the field! He's going to go into the end zone! He's going into the end zone! Will it count? The Bears have scored, but the bands are out on the field. There were flags all over the place.
The final score was California 25, Stanford 20. Number 2, Miracle on Ice. At the 1980 Winter Olympics, an American hockey team made up of college players faced off against a juggernaut, a Soviet team full of pros that hadn't lost an Olympic game since 1968.
They were treating some of us not with the respect, and I think in the world of sport, you have to respect all your opponents. So I just kept telling them, someone's going to beat him, someone's going to beat him, someone's going to beat him.
No one thought the U.S. had a chance. The Soviets were up 3-2 going into the third period, and around 9 minutes in, the Americans were able to take advantage of a power play to tie the game at 3 points each. Just a minute later, they scored again, and they held on for the remainder of the period to win. The game was dubbed the Miracle on Ice, thanks to the legendary Al Michaels' amazing commentary. The U.S. would go on to beat Finland and win the gold.
We restored the pride and patriotism that makes this country so great, not even knowing it.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, Malice at the Palace. This was not the NBA's proudest moment, or the city of Detroit's for that matter. During a 2004 game between the Pacers and Pistons, Ron Artest, aka Meta Sandiford Artest, fouled Detroit player Ben Wallace, who reacted by trying to pick a fight.
Ben Wallace is fouled, and Wallace did. Wallace right at Artest. This has potential to be serious.
Artest mostly kept his cool until a fan threw a drink at him. At that point, he and several other Pacers climbed into the stands and attacked the Pistons fans, setting off a huge brawl between players and spectators. The officials and team staff struggled to get the Pacers off the court and into the locker room as the crowd pelted them with food and drinks. Ultimately, 9 players were suspended and 5 were charged with assault, along with 5 fans.
It all started with a foul.
Which of these wild moments would you like to have seen in person? Let us know in the comments.
Once it was dubbed the Immaculate Reception, it kind of took on a life of its own, and you saw it everywhere.